Hi there, welcome to our series of MG ALBA Scots Trad Music Awards 2022 sponsor chats. Today we are speaking to Professor Josh Dixon from the up and coming award sponsor Royal Conservatoire of Scotland. Hi Josh, how's it going?
Doing very well, thank you very much, Simon. How are you?
I'm great, actually, having a lovely time. So tell us about the Royal Conservatoire of Scotland and what they do.
Ooh, right. Well, we are, of course, a small specialist institution. They revel in that title. Actually, it allows for great deal of flexibility and a more kind of intimate educational environment. So we're a higher education institution. We are a music conservatoire and much else besides music. Of course, we have two schools: the School of Music on one hand, and the School of Dance, Drama, Production, and Film (DDPF) on the other. Those two schools together make up the Royal Conservatoire of Scotland, and we're at the heart of Glasgow, which is advantageous to us, of course. The two go hand in hand. I say we, but the Conservatoire has been in place really since about 1847, I believe. Used to be called the Athenaeum, and then it became the Royal Scottish Academy of Music and Drama. Well, there are a few maybe iterations between those two. And then from RSAMD, it became the Royal Conservatoire of Scotland. It began to be a bit of a mouthful with music and drama, and then they started dance and other things. And it would have been too much. So Royal Conservatoire it became. And I run the traditional music program. So I'm head of traditional music there. I work along with a very strong team. And we manage the BMUS, there's a Bachelor of Music undergraduate degree in traditional music. There's also a master's program, both a Master of Arts, the MA, and the Master of Music, the MMUS, both pertaining to traditional music. And we are a miniature school of music of our own in a sense, because we have quite a broad church when it comes to instruments and the vocal traditions, the linguistic traditions of Scots and Gaelic as well. So we try to take full advantage of our centricity in Glasgow city centre as a hub, and we're very, very inclusive in that regard.
Yes, and who is it that comes and can study on the course?
Well, that's an interesting question, because for many years, back at a point where the degree was actually a Bachelor of Arts, a BA, and the designation was Scottish music, that in all practical purposes hasn't changed. It's still, generally speaking, a degree in Scottish traditional music, or at least that is the communal musical lifeblood of the department. But there was a point where auditions would be arranged and we would have applicants come to perform. And we would be, in a way, limited in a type of straitjacket when it comes to what we would need to hear. We would need to hear specifically Scottish music. However, that remains defined. And there was a point some years ago where we decided that actually we wanted to be able to be a bit more inclusive. And although we would be principally remaining a degree in Scottish traditional music, we wanted to hear what young traditional musicians coming to apply for the course are really enthused about, what they love to perform. And we would get these situations where someone could be born and bred in Glasgow, for instance, and yet playing in a very much an Irish style, because they've been brought up in the Kilty community and so on. And we would feel quite constrained in a way that they're fantastic players, but they're not playing what the degree says on the tin in that regard. So we wanted to be a bit more inclusive and broader, I suppose. So that and a few other reasons meant that we transformed ourselves to a Bachelor of Music as opposed to a Bachelor of Arts, a Bachelor of Music in traditional music. And as I said, the communal lifeblood of the department is still very Scottish, but we remain open to hearing Irish traditional music, Eastern European traditional music, bluegrass, Galician music, pretty much anything that they would like to perform. We'd like to hear some traditional Scottish music, of course, within the audition. We want to hear traditional music itself rather than, say, exclusively their own compositions. But we just want to be able to hear what the musicians are really about. What do they love to do, and how do they express themselves to the world around them? So with that in mind, that gives us a greater range with which to assemble a very, very talented cohort every year. And then the tools with which they are educated and trained in the degree program are still very much of Scottish tradition.
I mean, it is amazing. And if anyone does want to find out more about that, if they go to www.rcs.ac.uk, it's a great course. I mean, we know just only too well from the the BBC News Scotland Young Traditional Musician Award, the calibre of the musicians that you're bringing through on the course.
It's great. And we're again, it's very advantageous to us. They come to us. There's a great sort of throughput in a sense where some people can become very young to come through the juniors conservatoire, to go through transitions, to go through these kind of pre-HE, pre-higher education programs. And so there's an attempt to nurture that talent in the earlier years, and then we get a lot of junior students that then apply to the BMUs. But there are also people just coming from everywhere. Without necessarily a prior attachment to RCS, who then apply.
And what about international students, Josh? Do you take them?
Yes, absolutely. International and RUK, as they call it, rest of UK, meaning England, Northern Ireland, Wales. We do get a good number of applicants, both overseas and what we call RUK. And that is really, really important for us because although, as I said, ideologically, and musically, we cater. The core of the program is Scottish traditional music. We want, as I said earlier, to be able to welcome all kinds of creative young people who have a love of traditional music. And the greater the diversity in that sense, musically speaking, the greater the kind of creative catalysts, in a way. The greater the outcomes for everyone involved.
Absolutely. We're obviously both musicians, and some of the best bits are when you meet other musicians from other cultures, what you learn. And I look at the Conservatoire now. I mean, back in 1989, when I went to university, there was nothing like this for me. So I feel really jealous that all these young guys coming through just get to come and just make music for 4 years. It's such a brilliant thing.
I know. Honestly, the biggest challenge that I've found over the years for young people coming up through the degree tends to be just time management. It's not so much a real struggle to nurture their talent. It's more like just how to harness it in such a way as to cover all the bases, academic as well as practical. So time management ends up being quite a struggle for everybody, but they get through it. They get there's a great deal of training in that regard for later professional life. The idea of juggling 10 things at once.
Yes.
We all do that, and so it's great training for them.
So what are the plans for 2023?
Well, let's see. We are very much looking forward to a return to Celtic Connections in January of 2023. So we'll have our trad showcase back in place. I believe that's at the Strathclyde Suite. On the 21st of January. And we are also looking very much forward to one of our artists in residence, Jennifer Wrigley, Orkney fiddler, legendary Orkney fiddler, coming along in March in order to oversee a project that she is currently curating. It's all about journeys, and she's working with our students and a number of other professional musicians to come in and put on this performance in late March. That will be public as well, so there'll be more details forthcoming about that, but that's going to be really exciting. And we're also kind of looking over our curriculum again, sort of an overall program-wide review, so that come autumn of 2023, we'll have a slightly revised, polished, newly refreshed curriculum in place for everybody as well.
Oh, that's very exciting, actually. And I was very happy to see Jenny Wrigley come and back to Glasgow, because I mean, we in our early days we all hung out together in Edinburgh and the Tron, had such many great days, and she's one of our best fiddlers. She's a wonderful musician.
Absolutely. And lest I forget, actually, Mike Vass is our other artist from Edinburgh, of course, and he'll be leading some recordings for an EP project around about the same time, April, May. So we're looking forward to that as well. So we'll have some really nice outcomes in place for 2023.
Oh, that's exciting. Well, I look forward to hearing that. Well, I suppose my final question, possibly the most important question, Josh, is, I mean, this is the 20th MG ALBA Scots Trad Music Awards, and how do you, as a sponsor, how will you celebrate this fact?
Well, I think everyone's going to be really looking forward to a return to normality, I suppose, since the past couple of years. I don't know. I mean, everyone's always thinks of the Trad Awards as kind of the Oscars of the traditional world. I'm wondering whether, back in my mind, are we going to get a Will Smith moment? I don't know. I really don't know.
I really hope not.
I hope not.
Well, maybe afterwards.
Maybe. The unpredictability of these evenings is famously a positive thing, and so I think we're all looking forward to a bit of returning to in person and just the fellowship involved, and reflecting upon the past 20 years and the transformation in traditional music, not just in Scotland but across the UK and further afield. The professionalization, the transformations in education, artistry, outlook. The world is bigger but also smaller in a sense as well, and so our traditional musicians, I say the world's traditional musicians are really doing a heroic job just now in expressing such positivity to the world and really capturing the moment of our times and doing justice to the tradition itself. So it's great to see all that.
I agree, 100%. Well, thanks very much, Josh. Remember, if you want to find out more about the Royal Scottish Conservatoire, visit rcs.ac.uk. And if you want to find out more about the MG ALBA Scots Trad Music Awards, visit scotstradmusicawards.com. Thanks again, Josh, and I'll see you later.
Okay, thank you very much. Bye-bye.